Czujemy ją nutro. Počela je Mina. Trebam početi trovati, ali... Čujem mi. Mogu odmah početi, pošto ne vidim nju ovdje, pa zato... Aha, okej. Good evening. Today we are here to discuss different topics. I would like to have free and open conversation, and I encourage you to speak from your personal experience. Today we will record our discussion, so I wouldn't have to take notes and to have an exact record of what we discussed in the group. The group members are introducing themselves. Mrs. Emmer is introducing herself. Now Mrs. Belma is introducing herself. Yes, she hasn't turned her mic on yet. Mrs. Belma is 30 years old. She's a teacher. She's employed. Now, Mr. Haris. Good evening, I'm Haris Pala from Sarajevo. I'm 31 years old. I'm a pediatrician nurse. I'm unemployed currently. Mrs. Eldina. She's having some trouble with her mic, I think. We'll go to Ornella. Ornella Cholic, almost 40 years old. Screenwriter and freelancer. Mr. Emir. Good evening, Emir Begovic, CEO of a private company, 46 years old. Good evening, Sabina Jacob. I'm the oldest one here. I'm 50 years old. the teacher of Bosnian. I'm the senior one here. Elvis is not here. He can't hear us. We'll try with Eldina again. She's having some trouble with her mic. She can't hear us. She can't speak. We will start a discussion about news and information that you're currently interested in reading, and Sabina is the first one to talk. She watches the morning news. They are connected to her job as well. The main topic is the pandemic. We are currently having an election in She's watching the meetings between Trump and Biden, their discussions and topics. Amra, what do you like to watch? What kind of news? Amra is not particularly interested in the news. Mostly about, she's watching the news mostly about the coronavirus and the evening news. Is there any kind of news that you are particularly interested in, that you watch the news just because of that? She watches the regional news. We have an election of our own as well, and we have a lot of attention to that topic. Ornella, can you tell me, do you watch the news, and what kind of news are you most interested in? Mostly I'm interested in the morning news and the news about the cultural events. I'm not interested in the pandemics or the elections, but I'm being bombarded with it every day, so I'm forced to listen the news about those topics. I also watch the news about our neighboring country because they've also had elections recently. Mr. Emir, honestly, he stopped watching news 15 years ago. He's too busy from morning till evening. He has enough of his own problems. He doesn't have enough time to listen about politics and pandemics. He's very dissatisfied with how our system works, how our country works. He's very dissatisfied with the government. He's been in war as a soldier. He would most likely, he would like the most if he could run away from this country, but he can't. Sabina is talking about the lack of information about any cultural events. She completely understands Mr. Emir that when he says that he does not watch any kind of news. She would rather not watch the news, but she has to be because she's a teacher and she has to know what's gonna happen next. Her life is in question here. What's gonna happen next to her? Will she be employed or not? The news have been very, very gloomy in the past 20 years. Nothing has changed since the war stopped. Mr. Harris, do you watch any kind of news, and what do you like to watch or read? What kind of information do you like to read? Do you prefer watching TV or radio or social network? What's your preference? Occasionally, the evening news, mostly news on the internet. And the situation in Russia and China, especially since the COVID pandemic started. He's mostly reads about the pandemic. What source of news do you trust the most? Ms. Belma? Belma doesn't trust completely to any kind of news. She takes everything with a grain of salt. She doubts the truth, the truthfulness behind the news. We're being given only the statistics, and how correct are those is very questionable. I don't trust any of those news. Elena still can't hear us. Sabina, did you want to say something else? No, I didn't this time, but I can add to the truthfulness of the news. In 99% of the cases, every news portal has the same kind of news. She trusts the most the TV news because news portals are only copying news from each other and articles, and they're not completely truthful and honest. They're not relevant. I will agree with Ms. Belma. None of those information is completely checked, is completely truthful. The way these information are being communicated to us is a bit doubtful. Haris, you wanted to say something? I would like to ask you what do you think about internal questions. What is the most important question or questions regarding Bosnia? What are the crises that Bosnia is facing today? Eldina, did you want to say something? No? Sabina, what do you say to this? Looks like I'm the most talkative here tonight, to be honest. What I'm most interested in is the existential and the economics of and the way of living and the survival of these citizens. The moment something gets just a little bit better, then you start with nation nations and separation between the nations and nationalities. Amra, what do you say? What are the questions that you are more interested in regarding Bosnia? To be honest, I'm not that concerned about the news. I don't think that much about the news, but since they are giving us the news about the pandemics every day, I'm finding it hard to believe the situation and the numbers of the people infected and dying. These statistics do not look logical to me. Thank you. Elvis, do you hear us? Elvis doesn't hear us yet. Ornella, what do you say to all of this? Every news has to be checked and has to be taken with a bit of reserve, and I lose interest in every news that I have to check 10 times, whether it's true or not. And when you're putting news on portals and TV, you have to pay attention to who is publishing those news. The most important are the news about the economics. There are no talks or negotiations about the economics and how to make things better. The only thing we are hearing are those political debates that are going over the backs of the people and patients. The politicians are still fighting each other, they're still arguing, they do not care about the health of the people, or whether the people are employed or unemployed. Will they keep their jobs or not? Will they be able to survive or not? We are not talking about the things that are actually important. We are only talking about the politics and the elections. Every 2 years there's an election and nothing's changing. They're always choosing the same people. I'm Eldina Pasic, I'm 41 years old. I'm a cashier. I've been listening to you. I've been listening to the discussion this entire time because I could hear you, but I just couldn't speak. What kind of news do you watch the most? What kind of sources do you trust the most? I'm watching the news, the regional news. I don't trust the media that much. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I'm watching only the TV, and I don't use internet that much for the news because everybody can put out everything, anything, and everything. Harris is speaking. I agree with the most of them. I do not trust our portals because there is no control of what is being posted and who is posting it. Is it truthful or not? And when it comes to the news, TV news, I take it with a bit of reserve. I like listening to the news from the third perspective, from somebody else who's talking about us, like the German news talking about us, the situation in Bosnia, how they see it. I think the most media are lying or hiding the truth. What is the most important that about Bosnia to you? The most important is agriculture and economics, and also the cultural topics. I've heard people calling Bosnia the Jerusalem of Europe. We have a lot of natural potential that can be used, but we're not using it. There's some trouble with connection still. The development of agriculture and cultural developments are the most interesting to me, and the things that I want to watch and I'm most interested in. The cultural development. Amina is having some trouble with connection. Yeah, we can talk regardless of the topic. How do you feel with this weather? You don't mind the climate. We're used to everything here. We're resilient. Amina is back. The network is a bit shaky. There is a lot of people on the team, so maybe that could be the cause. I would like to talk about the international, interregional topics. You've mentioned Russia and China, the election in America. What else? What kind of stories have you heard about the political relationships between Bosnia and Iran? Haven't read anything. Iran is barely being mentioned in the in these past few days and years. Haris, you wanted to say something? I can't remember the last time I've heard something about Bosnia and Iran. Vilma, did you want to say something? Lately, I haven't heard anything about Bosnia and Iran relationships, but I've been in Iran a few years ago. But in general, people of Iran have a very positive opinion about us, about Bosnian people and Bosnian people. Emir, did you hear any kind of news about the relationship between Iran and Bosnia? He's talking about the previous topic about the media. He says he doesn't trust journals and journalists. All of them are scumbags. Only a handful of them are good journalists, and they are to be trusted. And because of corrupted journalists, he does not read or watch the news. Bella mentioned that she's been in Iran and she thinks the Iranian people have a very positive opinion about Bosnia. What do you think about the relationship between Bosnia and Iran? Is it positive or negative? In your opinion, are the relationships with Iran and positive or negative? Emir thinks it's negative because of the politics that Iran has. What kind of politics does the Iran have? It it's not bad politics on Iran's side. It's us. We Bosnians are meddling where we do not belong. We're minding somebody else's business instead of our own. Is Iran important as a partner for Bosnia regarding the security of Bosnia? Elena, can you hear us? What do you think about this topic of Iran and Bosnia? regarding Iran. I'm not into politics, international politics. I think we do not have any particular interest in Iran and the relations with Iran. Sabina, what did you want to say? Since I'm the eldest one, I remember the time when Bosnia benefiting from was benefiting from Iran financially. Our engineers were working in Iran and Iraq. Iran was very useful economically. And after the war, Iran sent a lot of donations to Bosnia. I know as a fact that there are few schools that are being financed by Iran. Iran was a threat to the balance of the world's peace and military, but that's changed now. But regarding the economy and employment, Iran is not employing Bosnian people anymore. Unis and Energoinvest, the factories and companies from Bosnia, worked with Iran. That's not the case anymore. It's changed. I think politics is the reason. Now Ornella is talking. She thinks that our political and cultural relationships with some other country depends on the government, whoever is the president, and if that person likes some certain country, we will be good friends with that country. But if the president does not like the country, we will not have any relationship with that country. Currently, we're trying to be friends with Germany and Austria. The last time I heard about Iran and Iraq was a few years ago when there was talk about terrorists and terrorism. The news were about bombers, suicidal bombers. Do you think Bosnia and Iran are sharing some cultural or other kind of interests? Regarding the movies, Iran has a lot of movie directors who are being killed, hanged, not because they're making movies about the true state of the Iran and the system, when we talk about tradition, Everybody puts together tradition and religion, and that's where the trouble starts. We have different religions, so Sabina says that we in Iran have very little similarities in tradition. A lot of people from Iran came to Bosnia and went to school here, and they brought a part of tradition and culture with them. But those people live mostly in some rural parts of Bosnia. College in Ilyas is being financed by Iran, and kids in that college are being introduced and exposed to the Iranian culture more than in the rest of Bosnia. Okay, moving on. Thank you. Moving on to the next topic. What do you think about the relationship between Bosnia and America? Do we do you think we have a positive or a negative opinion? Haris? Haris thinks America is just exploiting our territory. Bosnia is connecting different parts of world, Europe, Italy, Russia, and we have a lot of natural treasures, waters, forests, mines, a lot of land, fertile land. So Americans are exploiting those things. Now media is trying to decide to where to go, to Russia, to China, to the USA. Sabina is asking Haris why does he think Bosnia is interesting to America and Russia and China. The media is trying to attract the attention of the USA to our cultures, to our natural treasures. Emir thinks American support to Bosnia is only on paper, and that's what he dislikes. After every attack on Bosnia, the US Embassy just sends a message to us. They're standing with us, they're our partner, but they don't give us any kind of support and are trying to solve any problems. They could solve them in 24 hours because they are a very strong country, but they're not willing. They just support on paper. The Americans can do much, much more, but they don't want to. But they don't want to do anything. I do not understand how can people vote for Trump. We really are rock bottom, but Americans, they're even worse than us. Yeah, you obviously dislike the president. I like his wife, but I don't like his politics. Sabina agrees that she likes Trump's wife as well, but doesn't like him. I could tell the Americans how to solve the problems with Bosnia if they don't know how to do it. They have the largest embassy. On the territory of the ex-Yugoslavia, but they don't want to do anything. Ornella, did you want to say something? Ornella, can you hear us? Yes, I can hear you. We can't hear Ornella. There's some trouble with her mic. Haris, did you want to say something? A year ago, a friend of mine visited me. She lives in America. She said, uh, economics. The economy is better since Trump is the president. And she thinks that Trump is doing a good job of being a president, even though people are disliking him and making fun of him. He's doing well. There is trouble with racism and the protests about letting police kill black people. Really focus more on the relationship between Bosnia and US. Do you think Bosnia shares some cultural values with America? Ornella disagrees with the opinion that we are geopolitically important to America. We don't have any kind of oil or gold, And I agree with Amir. If they wanted to help us, they would have helped us. But they don't have any kind of use from of us, so they're not helping us. They're not trying to solve any of our problems. They did get involved in the drafting of the amendment about Bosnia being a country with the majority of Muslim population. The Americans don't want Turkey in Europe, and it goes in their favor if we Bosnians are at war with everybody else. When it comes to culture, Americans think we are a country with special needs and they need to push us towards Europe so we could develop and bloom. And when Europe starts attacking Bosnia and we start calling for help, Americans will come and rescue us. Americans help us only in certain situations, and those situations are if America does not like Europe's opinion, then they come to our rescue and no, you cannot do that to Bosnia. We are on their side. You can't attack them. You can't force them to do anything. I don't think Americans are selecting the news and Trump's speeches to publish. Do you watch any kind of particular news that is concerned only about the American politics? I watch CNN and The Voice of America. I got interested in the debates between Trump and Biden because Biden started mentioning Bosnia. I don't know if Biden will be able to do anything for Bosnia, But there are some people in Bosnia who are cheering for Biden. Yeah, if Biden is elected president, Bosnia will bloom. Bosnia was geopolitically interesting while it was a part of Yugoslavia. We all of us who have been in war, we know what Americans could have done for Bosnia, but they haven't done it. We know about the amendment and the Dayton and all the kinds of meddling Americans had. The average American does not know what Bosnia is. They don't know Bosnia exists. Before 90s, America did have interests in Bosnia, but after the war, these interests changed sides. Most of Bosnia's population is Muslim, and our politics is tightly connected with Turkey, and Americans do not like Turkey, so since you're mentioning Turkey, what do you think about the relationship of Turkey and Bosnia? That's an interesting topic. We could discuss for hours about it. Turkey invested in all the countries of our region more than it did in Bosnia. Our president is in very good relationship with Erdogan, but Turkey is exporting more of their products to Bosnia, and they are importing very little Bosnian products to Turkey. I agree that the America had to show their allegiance and support to us during the war, but they didn't do anything. Well, whatever they did, it was too late. Do you think America's relationship to Bosnia is positive or negative? I strongly disagree that it's positive. I couldn't say why we are interesting to them, but we are interesting to them. Interesting enough that they come to our rescue in the last minute. Do you often read the news about the relationship between Bosnia and America? Honestly, I don't. I don't read or listen to that kind of news. Velma, what do you think about the relations between Bosnia and USA? Do you think it's positive or negative? Does America give you some kind of security? Regarding our relations, I wonder how interesting are we to the US? They could have some use of us, but they don't want to use any of our resources. they rarely do something concrete about our country. I don't think our relations are negative. They're just uninterested, disinterested, and indifferent, passive. Do Bosnia and America have any kind of cultural values that they share? We could have, but the question is how interested Americans are in Bosnia's culture. Dina doesn't like America at all. She would like to travel, but she wouldn't like to go to America at all. When America should have helped us, they didn't. They just pretend to be humanitarians only for the show, for photographs, for the news, but they don't do anything actually. Sabina is sharing her experience with her opinion about America. She thinks America is afraid of our citizens. Her daughter is an engineer. She went to the American college here in Bosnia, and she had an invitation from a relative from America to visit America. She applied for a visa in the US Embassy in Bosnia, but she wasn't allowed the tourist visa. When she asked why, they said she is a danger to America because she's highly educated, she is fluent in English, she's very young, and they're afraid she would want to stay in America. She didn't want to go to live and work there, she just wanted to visit as a tourist. Yeah, but the biggest problem was she's Muslim, so that's the biggest kind of threat to America. Amy, did you want to say something? To say something about the relation between America and American Bosnia, or Bosnian Turkey? I wanted to talk about the relationship between Bosnia and Turkey. Turkey is doing the same thing America is doing. They're investing in Serbia and Montenegro, in Croatia, but they're not investing in Bosnia. They're just promising us help and support, but we're not getting anything. Yeah. You see, they're protecting us from work. We don't have enough jobs for people, so they're saving us, they're saving our health. No, it's a joke. The Turkish president managed to make a strong country but he never helped Bosnia. He only helps with the renovation of mosques and nothing else. He never builds any factories. The problem is in our government, in our politicians. Somebody should talk to the Turkish president and tell him that if it says Republic of Serbia, it's Republic of Serbia. It's not a smaller entity of Bosnia, a smaller part of Bosnia. Those are two different things. The problem of this country are the politicians who are thieves. Politicians took money to them for themselves, built their mansions, bought their apartments, and the people are barely surviving. All three presidents are doing the same thing. We can't decide which one of the three presidents is worse and bigger thief. America, Russia, and Turkish as the great powers of the world should be the most honest. We know Russia's opinion of us. They honestly tell you whether they like you or not. The others do not. Only politicians benefit from any kind of relation between Bosnian America or Turkish and America. Belma's been waiting for a long time to get the chance to speak. I would rather listen news about relations between Bosnia and Turkey than Bosnia and America. If I had to choose between the news, between listening to the news about political relationships, I would like to listen about Turkey and Bosnia's relations with Turkey. The problem of unemployment lies here in Bosnia. There is never enough money for financing and helping the economy, helping the unemployed. But when the money is needed for the political campaigns and elections, all of a sudden there is enough money for all of it. We ourselves need to show more interest about our own country, and when foreign politicians see that we are interested in making our own lives better, then they would be willing to help us. If we were more serious in solving our problems, others would start taking us more seriously too. Ornella lives in a part that is heavily populated by Turkish people. There's also a Turkish embassy. They even put Turkish in schools as a foreign language. And they gave us a deal. Whoever is having Turkish classes will go to Istanbul, which is disgusting. That's blackmail. I've read a lot of books about Turkish tradition, and we are very, very similar. Turkey never gave us any money, never helped us. They know very well how bad the situation is, but they still don't want to help. They still avoiding to help us. There's a situation where Catholic people, people from Croatia in Bosnia, are supported by the Croatian government. The people from Serbia in Bosnia are supported by the Serbian government, but Muslim people in Bosnia are supported by the Turkish government. What I dislike is the situation in Turkey after the assassination and the revolution. One side was supported by the Americans and the other by Turkey, just because there are schools here that are being financed by the revolutionary group. Everybody was for that group. I don't mind Turkey's financing a Bosnian school, but what I don't like is the blackmail. If you have to study and learn Turkish, and then you'll go to Turkey, and they see us as a threat as well. When they give you a Turkish visa, it only you can visit. You can only be in Turkey for only 3 months because we are a threat and we can't stay any longer than than 3 months. What kind of threat do we pose to Turkey? I don't know what kind of threat. I went there for a month because I wanted to make a movie and then come back. I didn't go through any organizations. When she went to Turkey, she met people from Macedonia, and the Macedonian people had the visa that lasted for 10 years, but visa for Bosnian people lasts for 3 months. Why? I couldn't understand why. What kind of a threat do I pose to Turkey? What can Bosnian people do to Turkey? People think it's because of national reasons or religious reasons. Maybe we're gonna open fire on the Turkish embassy. Haris, you wanted to say something? I had an opportunity to work at a restaurant whose guests were Turkish people, and I disagree that we have any similarities, cultural similarities, and behavior. The things that we do have in common are the religious kind and the food, the cuisine. Would you like for Bosnia to be a bit closer to Turkey? Yeah, I would like Bosnia to be a bit closer, have a better relationship to Turkey. The situation now in Bosnia with the election is the one of the political parties is SDA. It's everybody knows it's everybody in it is Muslim, so that party is leaning more towards Turkey and expecting more support from Turkey. Yeah, I'd rather be closer. I'd rather have close relations with Turkey than with America. Sabina, what did you want to say? I listened carefully to Ornella and I agree with everything she said. And I agree with Emir when he said they should build less mosques and more factories and invest more in Bosnian economy. Yes, we do have similar and culture and tradition to Turkey. The Ottoman influence has been in Bosnia for hundreds of years, and we're closer to, from the cultural aspect, we're closer to Turkey. Regarding political relations with Turkey, nobody takes it seriously. We have 3 presidents. Nobody takes us seriously when we have three presidents. We just talk and talk and talk and talk, but we stand in one place for 25 years. We haven't changed anything. We haven't developed. We haven't. You think the problem is the system of Bosnia, the government? Yes, we should have only one president and only one leader. Then everybody else would take us more seriously. One president runs to Belgrade, the other to Zagreb, the third one runs to Istanbul. A lot of people say that Turkey is our second homeland, but I disagree. I don't have any kind of relation with Turkey. It can be my second homeland. Bosnia is my only homeland. Amra, what do you think about the relationship between Turkey and Bosnia and America and Bosnia? Which of these relations is more positive? The only thing I know about the relations between Turkey and Bosnia is that lately Turkey and Bosnia have started exporting meat, but in everything else, I agree with Amir. There, we don't have much help from them, much use from them. Like the only thing we have in common with Turkish people is we're friendly. Americans are a bit reserved and cold. Yeah, I don't agree with Haris when he said that Bosnian and Turkish cuisines are similar. They're really not. We have also a lot of buildings from the from the period of Ottoman Empire, but we have buildings from the Austro-Hungarian period as well, but we're not close with Austria or Hungary. Before we continue, I think anybody want to say something? I want to make one thing clear. I do not disagree with restoration of mosques or any other religious buildings. But Turkey should help us more in our economical and trade, in our economy and trade, not in building mosques. And we have enough mosques. What we need is employment, is jobs. People need to live off something. They can't live in mosques. Now we're moving on to our relation with Saudi Arabia. Do you think Bosnia has positive or negative relation with Saudi Arabia? Did you hear any news about politics between those two countries? People from Saudi Arabia have been coming here for the past few years. They're just buying pieces of our country. But there isn't much connection between Saudi Arabia and Bosnia. The people are visiting Bosnia because Arabia doesn't have a lot of green surfaces, a lot of grass and trees, unlike Bosnia, and that's the only thing they're interested in, buying land for low prices. What I find interesting is that they, they come to a restaurant or a shop, and and their kids start just rolling around on the floor and yelling and running, and their parents do nothing about it. That's what I find interesting. But I don't see any kind of connection between Saudi Arabia and Bosnia. We have no common interests. Yeah, I think Turkey is closer to us than Saudi Arabia. They just come in summer, leave us money as tourists, and then they leave. Velma, you wanted to say something? Yes, I wanted. What I find interesting is that they have 3 or 4 wives and just one husband, and they all are in good relations. They all agree they're one happy family. And also, I find it interesting how they do not pay attention a lot of attention on their children's behavior. They, they let them do whatever they please. In Bosnia, that doesn't go like that. I think they do not find this very interesting as a country. The only positive thing is that they leave money in our country. They come to a shopping mall and they leave like thousands and thousands in one shop. I'm glad people who are working in retail are being paid well. They can earn their money, especially now in the time of pandemics when jobs are scarce. I dislike Bosnian people selling their land to selling their land just so Arab people from Saudi Arabia could build some grand mansions for nobody to live there. Those houses are empty. They're just there to show how rich they are, and that's it. Saudi Arabia uh, invested millions and millions in Serbia, and they did nothing for Bosnia. The only thing that connects Bosnia and Saudi Arabia is the religion, nothing else. but there are some differences in religious practices in Bosnia and religious practices in Saudi Arabia. The only thing I like in Saudi Arabia, except for in Saudi Arabia, except for the religion, are their wives. I've been trying to persuade my wife to allow me to take a second wife for years, but she does not allow it. We've been arguing over that for years. She does not budge. Then, do you have anything else to say about the Saudi relations between Bosnia and Saudi Arabia? No. If not, we will move on to relations between Bosnia and Russia. What do you think? Is it a good or bad relations? What do you think? Would it be better if Bosnia had some close relations with Russia or not? Haris said he would like Bosnia to have better relations, closer relations with Russia because we could profit from them more. We could benefit from that relations more. Russia has one of the most liberal and and honest newspaper, and our mentalities are also very, very similar. Yes, they are very religious like we are, but they do like to have quite a few drinks just like we do, despite of religion and being religious. I like to think about their president Putin as our former president Tito. Some people uh, dislike Putin, but most of them like Putin, and he benefited the economy of benefited the economy of Russia. Yeah, so Sabina does not take any criticism on Tito's account. She loves Tito, and he is a legend. Bosnia should take a leaf from Russia's book and have a government that's you either like or you hate. There's no in between. Sabina says we don't have any particular relations with Russia. We live stuck in past. Russia was a communist country just like Yugoslavia, and what's similar. That's a similarity between us. Our social, our social, uh, our society is similar to Russia's. Russia uses Bosnia just to argue with Turkey and the USA. Before war, a lot of our engineers went to get their PhD degrees in Russia. There were also college student excursions to Russia, to Moscow. We had better relations before war during Yugoslavia. I think they are very, very, very well. I mean, they have a very well economy, very good economy, very good government, very good educational system, very good cultural aspects like ballet schools and art schools. They are number one for me when it comes to these cultural things and education. Is there any country that haven't been mentioned, but you think they're important economically and politically for Bosnia? Germany. Germany and Austria. Germany. Why Germany? First and foremost, because I like Germans very, very much. And I'm sorry Germans didn't stay here in 1914. It's a joke. I have a lot of friends who went to Germany during the war as refugees. They made it on their own. Germany's help during the war, after the war, they have helped us more than all these countries that have been bragging about helping Bosnia and being willing to help Bosnia. Austria as well. Austria has helped Bosnia a lot. Everything else, every other country is pretty much useless. Haris, did you want to say something? I would like to mention two more countries. China and India. India and China are booming countries. They're countries that are being developed very, very fast. They have the best medicine. They have the best doctors and IT experts. China, I think China is one of the strongest countries in the world, and it's always good to have good relations, and it will benefit us to be in good relations with such strong country. Belma, you wanted to say something? Yes, I would like to add one thing regarding Germany. I have a feeling that's one of the rare countries that is welcoming our people, Bosnian people. Because of our economical situation, we know that a lot of young people are migrating, and I'm always happy to hear that young people have made it in Germany. They have a good job and good life. Mr. Emir, did you want to add something? Honestly, I don't think we need China and India in our lives. Miss Sabina. Germany goes straight to the point. When they tell you they'll help you, then they help you. They helped us during the war, and after the war they never asked us about our religion. They weren't interested in the religion, who is who. They do not care about what religion you belong to. If you are capable and well educated, then you will have a place, you will have a job in Germany. They welcome you. They will give you an opportunity to have a good life. Regarding China, I don't think we have anything in common with China. India and China are one of the most populated countries on the planet, and I don't think they have any kind of interest in Bosnia. They don't know what to do with their people. with their own citizens. So what are they going to do with us? What can they do to help us? Harris said that they are great countries and that they would have that we would benefit from being friends with somebody who's very strong. And I didn't mean that we have something in common. We don't. Germany appreciates a lot the quality of our people. I lived in Germany after the war for a few years and I came back. Okay, I respect your opinion, but when America tells to China and India to do something, they do it. Nothing is stronger than the America. China has a cheap laborers in every street. There is a factory. That's just the Chinese propaganda. They've only recently started showing who they really are, how strong they actually are. And they're working on the project of making a large road, because a lot of countries will be connected to China. A lot of import and export will go through China. Of all the countries that we have mentioned, Iran, the USA, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Russia, who is the most useful ally to Bosnia? Who is the best? Who is the best option? Who has the best relations with Bosnia? Amra, what do you say? Can you hear me? Amra, can you hear me? Can you repeat the question? Of all the countries that I've mentioned, Turkey, Russia, China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, USA, who is the most important partner to Bosnia? Emir, you wanted to say something? Germany. Germany. These other countries are not useful at all. Does everybody else agree? We will use the principle of the lesser evil, and America is the lesser evil. So we benefit the most from being in good relations with America. The rest are just useless. If we're talking about Asian countries and their development, the most we would benefit the most with friendship with Japan, because they are making flying cars and trains, and we would benefit from their technology. I don't know what we could offer them in exchange. Maybe some of our lakes. Germany and Austria are the most beneficial to Bosnia. I have a lot of friends in both countries, and they are my favorites. Our time is almost up. We've had a very, very interesting discussion. I will ask you to tell me your impressions about today's discussion and if there anything else you would like to add. We'll start with Miss Samra. I hope this discussion could make some difference, benefit could benefit that we could benefit from this country, but I clearly doubt. Regarding who would be the best, which country would be the best for us, and if we have to choose between two evils, the lesser evil is definitely America. I don't know where this discussion will be played or used in what purposes, but I hope Bosnia benefits from this discussion. Thank you, Amra. Miss Eldina, what do you have to say? Do you have anything to add? The debate was very great. It was very interesting for me, even though I spent more time listening than talking. Congratulations to Mrs. Sabina. You're an excellent speaker, and I agree with you. I have nothing to add. None of these countries that were mentioned does not think we are very interesting, and they're not helpful. We do not stand a chance with Russia because the Serbian president has already set off Putin, so there's a we won't be friends with Russia. But nobody can help us until we help ourselves. We will see the results of these elections that we have, and then we'll see what happens next. Belma, what do you have to say? I'd like it if our voices could be heard and they could help to change something, but that won't happen. I'm glad that we had this discussion, that we said what we think and what we want, but the problem is we don't want to help ourselves. When we solve that problem, everybody else will also help us and show interest in us. As long as we do not show any interest in our own country, nobody else will help us. Miss Ornella, what do you have to say? Is there anything you would like to add? There is nothing to add. I want to say that you just made my day better with your discussions and your comments. It's good to hear people that you've never met before and realize that you think in a similar way. And I hope some changes will happen, and after these elections things will go better, and that we will be able to shape our government and to write our laws and decide on what kind of relations will we have with other countries. That we will, I hope that we will be important to somebody and not Miss Sabina. I want to thank you all for taking part in this conversation. You've made my day. It's nice to meet and uh, meet new people and hear their opinions. We have all different professions and we are different ages, and I'm the eldest one. I have the most experience, the experience that comes with age. It's very interesting to hear your opinions. We have very similar way of thinking. I'm sorry there are no such debates on TV, so more people could hear normal people, people who are not into politics, how they discuss, how they talk. It would be more interesting for the people, for population to hear the opinions of ordinary people of this country. I don't see any particular benefit from relations from with any of these mentioned countries, but I will choose the lesser evil and say the USA is would be a good partner. Good night and thank you all, Mr. Harris. Thank you all for this nice and pleasant evening. I'm glad we all had similar opinions, especially about Germany. When it comes to choosing the evils, the lesser evil, I think Russia. Russia is the lesser evil. I think we would benefit the most if we could be friends and have good relations with our neighbors, Croatia and Serbia, because we have different similar mentalities and cultures. I would like that for us to have these kinds of discussions more often, so we could hear somebody else's opinions. Emir, yeah, I was the most gloomy tonight. Thank you all for participating. It's been great, and I hope that I will be asked again. What I want to say is, somebody mentioned until we help ourselves, nobody else will help us. Unfortunately, this country is, well, the young people have realized that only if you are in some political party, you will make it. You will have something. Otherwise, you're doomed. I don't think this country will do something, will solve its problems and help itself. Maybe our kids or grandkids will have better lives, but I'm not very optimistic. I'm not very optimistic. Yeah, we have to be patient. Yeah, people should think about what they're gonna do. I don't think anybody from this country could do something beneficial for this country. Maybe some foreigner would make a good change. Belma, I want to say thank you, and I want to greet you all, and I want to praise you, Emina, for being a good moderator tonight. Thank you all for being a part of this, a part of our research. Tomorrow we will call you about our coupons and vouchers. Thank you very much and good night. All the best. Good night. Goodbye. Thank you very much. Good luck and thank you all.
Jesi uspjela?
Jesam. Samo kako se ovo disconnect, ja nisam htjela, ja se ne razumijem u te IT, pa ja sam do sad što da tiče. Jel ona mene išta čula ovako?